What's going on, everybody? It's your homeboy Popular Video Games here, chilling out, maxing out, doing my thing. Alright, y'all. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about The Flash, Season 3, Episode 12. Welcome to my prediction series. You can check the rest of the episodes in the prediction series by going in the description and clicking the playlist below. Let's get into this. Now, the episode starts off with Team Arrow in the Arrow Cave, looking at the news about the incident that happened in the previous episode. Thea says with a sad expression they were right there, and Diggle hugs her to calm her down. The team stares at the TV as Wally walks over to Barry and asks Barry, "Can I talk to you for a second?" Now, Barry follows Wally outside the base. Barry says, "What now, Wally?" Wally says, "I saw you kissing her." Barry rolls his eyes and says, "So what?" Wally looks at him with a mean look and says, "I wonder how my little sister will feel if she knew the guy she liked was behind our father's killing." In a burst of anger, Barry says, "I was not behind it. I didn't know what happened. That man had killed your father, not me." Wally says, "But you caused it by saving yours. I wonder what would happen if she found out." Barry and Wally have a stare off as Cisco yells for them to come inside. On the TV, the president is talking about the previous attack and saying that Amanda Waller and two other members of humanity's defense military are dead. This was not a random attack, but a planned attack from the metas on humanity. As such, I have just declared the Meta-Human Relocation Act, which will take all metas and put them in an area where they can be controlled and monitored. The president also announces how Harrison will be ahead of the division from now on, and how he has developed meta-human detecting watches for everyone. If one goes off, your local meta-human task force will get an alert. Any meta-human found must be captured. Meta-humans are to be considered armed and extremely dangerous. We recognize the Flash and other government metas as protectors. We will give them our full support in the matter. Laurel looks in horror. Barry wonders what's the problem. Now we can see who's a meta and who's not. Hartley says that's the problem. Laurel says that there are 300 known metas in the city right now, but only 75 of them are in the war. With this new law in place, all those hundreds of metas who are living peacefully alongside humanity will now fight back instead of being put in a camp. The team realizes this is the first step in the final battle between the metas and the humans. Harley tells Laurel about contacting the agency about this. The metas are stepping up the game to rid humanity of its head leaders. Next will be Trough and other innocent metas who will be caught in a crossfire. We have to step our plans up. Cisco asks, what does he mean by that? Harley explains that they might know where the main HQ of the meta revolutionaries. The forces they had were 75, but with this it will increase more than our numbers can handle. Harley says Trough has 300 members in his army. But with metas, one meta can equal 5 of our soldiers. Laurel talks about the time 60 members of Trough went to investigate a sect of metas, and it was bloodshed. One meta jumped down and decapitated 3 of our members in an instant. The others were just completely driving our forces back. It was a continual bloodshed, and we almost didn't make it out of there alive. Thea says, are they that strong? I mean, I've never seen one, well, the Flash, but he's good. Barry says, there are metas with powers so horrifying you'll lose sleep. Meanwhile, in a secret government facility, Vandal Savage is meeting with the League of Assassins, who in this timeline are the government-funded group. Vandal Savage tells them it's time for them to go full action. Kill any metahuman or trough you come across. They disband. Robert walks up and gives Vandal Savage the schematics to the Atom suit. Vandal Savage looks at the parts and looks at Robert and tells him that it's going to require a heavily skilled individual to actually use the suit. Vandal Savage recommends Robert for the task. Robert questions why Vandal Savage would even recommend him for such a thing. Vandal said, because you bring presents. Robert smiles and a team of people are dragging the lizard into the area where Vandal Savage is. Vandal looks at this specimen and says, I had my guys look at this guy. He's very impressive. Robert says this meta has increased capabilities of healing its skin, and he thinks that it could be used for us against the metas. Vandal Savage smiles and says, yes, this will be perfect. Vandal Savage scientists begin to take the meta into a room and start experimenting on him, breaking down every single cell so they know how he ticks. All the screaming from the lizard causes Robert and Vandal Savage to leave the room because they could not talk anymore. He asks Robert to give the plans to a different department so they can begin work. Robert walks out and looks at the plans and studies them. As he's going to the department, he sees a way to enhance it with the meta's blood he caught. He tells the scientists to inform him of the progress and leaves out. He goes and watches while the men lock down the lizard in the lab with only Roberts and a few others can access. Thea and Diggle are out on their first date when the gang tries to surround them. They smile and just start beating the guys. Thea flips one into the car. Diggle bashes one guy's head into the ground. A guy jumps on Diggle's back trying to choke him out. Diggle grabs a guy and slams him into the nearby car. Thea runs up and kicks a guy in the nuts and roundhouse kicks another guy, beating the men. The two link arms and both say these are our dates now and laugh. They walk off as the guys lay there bleeding. Now they arrive in a cafe. Because of that fight, it made them thirsty, Thea says. Felicity calls them because she hacked into Argus files and sees a Vandal Savage in the database. Thea and Diggle both wonder who this man is and why he had been seen with Robert. Now he's in Argus files. Thea asks Diggle, "Did you know anything about him when you were talking to your father?" Now Thea questions and says, "No, I wouldn't have been able to get any closer information on him because of my father's distrust for me." Diggle says that he's never heard of this guy, and it's surprising seeing how Diggle is one of the best agents. He usually gets all the classifications. Now, Thea says this guy just didn't pop up. She tells Felicity to search for an address, and Felicity finds one, and Diggle and Thea are off. Wally, running back to the city, sees a metahuman named Tremor trying to topple buildings. He runs to confront the meta, and Tremor calls him a traitor for not being on their side. Wally laughs and runs around and punches Tremor, saying that how can I be a traitor? I was never on your side. He battles Tremors, running in a circle, punching him. Tremor shakes up and makes a piece of the building fall. Wally runs and saves people below before the building parts crash and kills them. As Wally is dodging Tremor's attacks, he looks up into a building and sees there are people in the building where Tremor is shaken. Tremor says that it's them or him. Flash, and he begins to topple the building. Wally runs in as Tremor shakes and topples the building and manages to save two people out of the hundreds in the building. Tremor is gone when the dust clears. The media starts blaming the Flash, saying that he could have saved them. Fastest man alive? My ass. Some hero saved a few instead of the majority. Wally breathes heavily and runs, and Tremor laughs and says phase 2 is commencing on mic. A voice answers, Roger. Harley and Laurel arrive back at the cave, healed up after taking a week of rest from their previous battle. As they walk in, they see Felicity crying. They question what is wrong. Felicity points to the TV as they show what happened with Wally. Harley and Laurel look in horror as this metahuman kills all these people and the Flash is not able to save them. Now, Harley and Laurel both feel saddened for the Flash, and they say that the next time they see Wally, they'll talk to him. Felicity says, I haven't been even able to get in contact with him. And then Harley questions, well, where's Barry? And then Felicity says he's with Cisco at a nightclub for a little R&R. And Laurel says, I don't think this is really the time for that. And Harley says, maybe we need a little R&R as well. Laurel says, we were just healing up. I think we had enough R&R. And she walks off. And then Harley laughs and says, don't worry, Felicity, it'll be alright, and follows Laurel into the distance. Now, at the nightclub, Barry and Cisco are talking about the other universe and says, you're the only one I can talk to about this. Cisco laughs and they begin talking about how Cisco misses Kendra and how he wishes that he could see her again. Barry says he loved Iris and he's hoping that he can see her again, unless Wally has a problem. Cisco says, was Wally such a dick before? They both remember and they both say, nah. Wally is running back to his apartment with a burning image in his mind of the public's hatred towards him. After everything I've done, they have freaking hatred against me? They've forgotten how many people I saved? It keeps ringing in his mind. Failure. The fastest man in the world couldn't even save kids. We're better off if you would have died. He runs into an alley and pulls off his mask and screams and falls to his knees in anger. The Black Flash approaches him and says, why so tense? You should relax. Wally says nothing. Black Flash answered, you're still thinking on how they turned on you. They did the same to Barry in his time. He jumps up and says, don't mention that name to me. Black Flash says, Wally, you haven't changed. Still with that running ahead attitude. And then Flash says, how did you know my name? Black Flash says, I knew you in the other timeline as well. Wally looks and he says, I'm taking Barry something that can possibly get his speed back. Or something. Black Flash questions, and when Wally responds, Black Flash says, I'm clueless about what can be done using this meta's body, and just dismisses the whole idea. And he also tells Wally they've turned their back on you. Now you must live for yourself. And Black Flash runs off with Wally getting a call from Iris. letting him know that she's at the Arrow Cave with Power Outage's body. And she says, "Where is he?" Wally says, "I'm out," and hangs up. Iris is shocked at Wally's reaction, but she's also saddened by him. She wants to make sure that he's okay. Harley and Laurel get a call and have to leave the cave. They get a transmission from Rip saying that we have a problem. Rupture is now spying on the now officially named HEF, the Human Extermination Force. Before, they really didn't have an idea on the name, but now they officially know what they're called. Rupture says that since the Meta-Human Relocation Act, the group has gained another 50 applicants, which makes now their number at 125. That means that out of that, only 175 metas are not in the human eradication force. Harley and Laurel look at each other. Laurel says, with that many people, with the leader who we still don't know can launch an attack on the city. Rip says, I believe his plans are to get close to the 300 known metas throughout the city. With all the recent killings and new findings of metas, the number 300 still holds up. Once he gets to 250, the world will end. Harley says they are part of Team Arrow and they wish to bring him on board to Trough. Rip says, can they be trusted? Now Harley says yes, they have all been valuable assets. Rip says that he will consider it and be in touch. Minute later, Rip gets a call from his best assassin, Neza, and she reports riots outside the meta containment camps. She says it's horrible with electric fences and live rounds being fired to cripple certain metas. Chaos is breaking out into the street because of the friends, neighbors, loved ones, and colleagues of the metas that are being locked up. Members of activist groups start shooting at the police and the metahuman containment force, the guys who are guarding the metahuman camp. Now, one of the guys actually decides to ram a truck into the fencing, releasing 5 metas, each very dangerous, and the metas use their powers to kill the cops, and now the regular people are joining their friendly metas in a new group called EOD. I heard them preaching it. Rip says, what does that mean? Neza says, equality or death. Guys, thanks for watching episode 12. Episode 13 is coming out as well. I heard you guys love my Grand Theft Auto 6 series. I'm grateful for that. I'm going to be working on the Halo 6 series, guys. I know you're wondering, like, why you did one video of that and nothing else. I'm going to be working on it. It's just that the Grand Theft Auto 5 and the Flash are kind of taking up a little bit of time. I also want to work on another prediction series, and I also have a big project planned as well. The video is probably going to be about 15 minutes long, so it's going to be a lot going into that. Alright, guys. Thanks again for watching. Once again, you've been an amazing audience. Peace out, and talk to y'all later.